Hey everyone, it's me again, Brittany, and I'm here today to do my May TBR, or the books that I want to read in May. I'm so excited about this one. This month is the month of the Asian Readathon, which is hosted by Read with Cindy. I will be sure to leave that linked down below for you guys so you can check out her announcement video where she talks about the challenges, and she has all of these really good, valuable resources for finding the right books for these challenges. So I'm not going to talk too much on that kind of stuff. I will let you know what books I'm reading for what prompts and the obvious things, but if you want more information, just be sure to check my description and follow the links. I will also be leaving all the books that I talk about in this video linked down below just in case you want to check them out or you need more information, because I'm terrible at summaries and I've decided that that's okay. You know, we can all be bad at things. I can be bad at many things, so that's kind of a weird intro, but overall, these are gonna be the books that I read in May. I have basically curated my entire TBR for the month to just be books written by Asian authors. That's not entirely necessary. Obviously, you can read whatever you want this month as long as some of them fit in the prompts if you do want to go for the Asian Readathon. But I just wanted to kind of stick to it and honor the Asian Readathon in that way. There are a couple of books that are outliers, but we'll talk more about that when we get there. So without further ado, let's jump on in to my TBR. I have my bullet journal, got my spread, took forever. I am going to show it off for forever. So yeah, the first prompt was to read any book by an Asian author. Super simple. And I really could have picked any of the books on my TBR for this, but I ended up going for The Gilded Wolves by Roshni Chokshi. This is a book that I've actually been meaning to read for quite a while. I don't know too much about it. What I do know is that it kind of involves a heist, a misfit gang of people, and I've heard a lot of hearsay that it's maybe a little too similar to Six of Crows, but there is the other portion of the people that have read this book that are absolutely in love with how Roshni Chokshi writes, how beautiful and lyrical her writing is, and that this story is very distinct and its own kind of tale. So I have definitely finally decided to bite the bullet and to go ahead and read it and have my own opinion on it. I have read books by Roshni Chokshi before and I absolutely adored them. I really like how she writes, so I do have very high hopes for this one. Challenge number 2 is to read a book featuring an Asian main character or written by an Asian author that you relate to. And for this one I ended up going for Song of the Crimson Flower by Julie C. Dao. This is a tiny book and I actually have already started it, which is really exciting. And I feel like there was something I wanted to say about it because I did already start it, but I can't exactly remember it anymore. Oh, I remember. In this story, we basically follow Bao and Lan. Bao is a poor orphan peasant boy, and Lan is the daughter of some very wealthy and influential people, and Bao has been in love with Lan for years. And when he finally confesses his love to her, Lan rejects him pretty harshly, and it kind of sets them on this journey of Bao being cursed and Lan joining him on this curse, and the only thing that will break it is true love. And we kind of have to discover if Bao will ever forgive Lan for the cruel things that she says, and if their journey will lead them in the right direction. I am really enjoying this so far. It just has some very classic feels, but this isn't a wrap-up, so I'm not gonna wrap it up for you. As far as what it counts for with the prompt, the way that I relate is that I am a girl and Julie C. Dao is a girl. I'm not very specific about it. If I end up reading another book written by an Asian author that I feel like I relate to more, it'll probably take the place of this prompt, so look forward to my wrap-up because these prompts might switch around as I discover new things. So we already have 2 fantasy books. What's new? Nothing. So the next challenge is to read a book featuring an Asian character or written by an Asian author that is different from you, and for this one I did end up deciding on Frankly in Love by David Yoon, and this one, the way that it's different is that both Frank Lee, who is the main character in this book, and David Yoon are boys and I am a girl. You can see that there is a theme between these 2 prompts. But I'm so excited to pick this up. This is kind of a coming-of-age romance story. We follow Frank Lee, whose parents are Korean, and how he feels a little bit like a misfit because they moved to Southern California so long ago that Frank Lee barely even remembers how to speak Korean, but his parents still hold him up to some pretty high standards and expect him to end up with a Korean girl. So when Frank Lee starts to fall in love with a non-Korean girl, things kind of get a little disastrous for him because he has to struggle with his sense of identity of not really feeling like he fits into either culture and not wanting to disappoint his parents but still wanting to follow his dreams. And I'm really excited about this one. I just feel like it's going to be such an an interesting concept. I've talked about this before, but I also can understand the whole like not knowing what culture you fit into. My mom is Argentinian and I relate a lot to the culture, but if I go to Argentina, they're gonna be like, you're American. And then when I'm in America, I'm Argentinian. So I'm really, really excited to see how this ends and see how Frankly can kind of stand up for himself. I've been meaning to read this for quite a while, and I'm actually really excited that I saved it for the Asian Readathon, and I'm hoping that it goes amazingly. I feel like it will, but you know, if the lighting looks better or worse, it's because I dimmed my ring light. I just feel like I'm very washed out right now, so it's because I'm only staying indoors. I am getting paler than ever. The next challenge is to read a book recommended by an Asian, and for this one I kind of loosely did it. I have been meaning to read this, and the person that I found this through was Books with Chloe. So Books with Chloe is Korean and Australian. She talked about this book in her videos and I picked it up, so recommendation, yeah? But this is Orange, the Complete Collection Volume 1, and it is a thick boy. I'm really, really excited. I can't remember too much about it anymore. I've been meaning to pick it up for a minute, and I know it's kind of a darker story. The things that I do know about it are that we're following this group of friends, and specifically the main character, she receives a letter from herself from the future letting her know that one of her friends is going to commit suicide and urging her to put a stop to it. So it's going to be really interesting to see this kind of play out and see that kind of blame game in that situation, because obviously it's going to be a really sweet story about friendship, but there is that dark underlying topic. I just feel like it's going to bring a lot of discussions, at least to me. I'm not sure if it's going to discuss a lot about the whole stopping him and putting the blame on themselves. Like, in a way, it's almost saying that like the friend group is causing this, so if they tried harder then it wouldn't happen. And I feel like that's not the best message, but I don't know how it deals with it. I don't know how this message is talked about, and I am really, really interested to see how it plays out. I just feel like overall, for the most part, I'm gonna have a really good time and it's gonna be pretty wholesome, but I just know that it's probably also gonna make me very sad, so that one's on the list. And I definitely wanted a couple of mangas on this list just because it breaks up the monotony of books, and I've been having such a weird time physically reading that I feel like manga is the perfect route to go, and this is the perfect month for manga. So, okay. And the last challenge is optional, but it is to read the group book, which is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng, and to do the watch along, because they are going to be reading Little Fires Everywhere for the first half of the month, and then for the last half of the month they are going to be doing a watch along for the Little Fires Everywhere adaptation. So I actually do not own a copy, but I do plan on listening to this audibly. I actually don't know anything about it. I remember when it first came out it was really big and it was very hyped, but when I think there was a couple of booktubers that I really trusted their opinions that read it and found it to be maybe a little bit more on the dull side, and that's why I never picked it up. But this is actually a great time to try it out for myself. I believe that it is literary fiction, so I don't ever read literary fiction, so I'm interested to see where I lie on this scale, but I feel like the watch along is going to help a lot. So yeah. And then there is kind of an underlying challenge with the Asian Readathon, and it is that every book that you read for the Readathon be written by a different ethnicity that is Asian. So for mine, The Gilded Wolves by Roshni Chokshi. Roshni Chokshi is actually Filipino and Indian. Then Song of the Crimson Flower by Julie C. Dow, she is Vietnamese. Frankly in Love by David Yoon, he is Korean. Orange, who is by Ichigo Takano, who is Japanese. And then we have Little Fires Everywhere, and Celeste Ng is Chinese. So those all work out for now. But I do actually have a few extra books. Like I said, I do have just quite a few options in general that I've been meaning to read, and I feel like this is a great month to kind of push myself to read them. And let's just briefly talk about those. So I'm gonna start with the still written by an Asian author ones, and then the two that aren't I'm gonna leave for the very end. So the first one being Death Note Volume 2. The story is by Sugumi Oba and the art is by Takeshi Obata. So I am obsessed with Death Note. I feel like I don't have to talk about it too much. I feel like every single time that I do bring it up, I give a very thorough explanation of what Death Note is about. But I did watch the anime when I was young. I read Volume 1 of the Black Editions last year and I adored it. I thought it was such a fun refresher on the show and everything like that. So I can't wait to dive into the second volume of the Black Edition, and yeah, hopefully I love it just as much. I mean, I'm sure I will, but we'll see. And then the other book that I really wanted to potentially pick up for this month is We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faizal. And Hafsa Faizal is Sri Lankan, and We Hunt the Flame is one that I was so hyped about when it first came out last year, and then I never looked at it after I bought it, which I hate. I do that too often, and I've heard amazing things for this. I've seen incredible fan art. I honestly can barely tell you what it's about. I have this weird brief memory after reading the summary of picturing two people fighting in like sand dunes. Let's see. Zafira is the hunter, disguising herself as a man when she braves the cursed forests of the Ars to feed her people. Nazir is the prince of death, assassinating those foolish enough to defy his autocratic father, the sultan. If Zafira is exposed as a girl, all of her achievements will be rejected. If Nazir displays his compassion, his father will punish him in the most brutal of ways. Both Zafira and Nazir are legends in the kingdom of Aroia, but neither wants to be. Interesting. I don't know why I was picturing sand dunes. Maybe I was thinking of Aladdin. Please don't call me ignorant. I don't know. I don't. I guess. But yeah, I'm really hyped and I hope that I get to that one as well. And then this one is probably the least likely of all the candidates that is in my extended TBR, but I do have Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. I watched the movie last year and I was so inspired. I loved the movie so much that I immediately bought the book and I was like, I'm gonna read this, I'm gonna love it so much. And then I saw some like negative reviews for the other books in the series. The first one, 100%, there was like basically everyone saying that it was amazing, but the rest in the series was kind of a downhill slide and it discouraged me and I didn't want to read it anymore. But I still definitely want to give this a try eventually. I mean, I own it, but yeah, it's on the list, potentially. And Crazy Rich Asians, I mean, just to kind of give you like a little pitch for it, if you haven't seen the movie or seen the trailer, it's like Gossip Girl meets Asians. And it's amazing. It's so good. It's so catty. It's just awesome because this girl is marrying into a very rich family when she had no idea that they were very rich, and they are rich. Like, you know, there's like levels of rich. They are that top level, the stupid rich level. So I loved the movie and I feel like the book should be just as good, if not better, because books are almost always better than the movies, but you know, we'll see. And the last book that I kind of wrote down into my extended TBR is actually one that I do not own, but I've been meaning to get into this series for quite a while. And I actually recently saw Books with Chloe marathon it and absolutely adore it and adore this author. And it is Uzumaki by Junji Ito. And I really would read basically anything by him. I'm just really intrigued. It's horror manga and I really love scary movies. I love thriller horror vibes and I never read it, so I don't know why, but I'm really excited. I think I'm going to try and find myself a copy of this and get it ordered. That way I can read it during this month. But even if I don't read it during this month, it's good to have a copy of it because I think that I would adore it. So yeah, I've heard absolutely incredible things about the art style. Again, it is a horror, so I'm not sure just how horror it gets, but I know it's pretty like creepy, want to hide under the covers kind of stuff, but I'm not sure how gory it might get because I feel like horror is normally more gory than a thriller is, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I could totally be wrong. I don't know terms that well. I'm not a professional. And those are it for my extended TBR for the month. Now, the next two books that are on my TBR are, again, not written by Asian authors and would not count for this readathon, but they are books that might end up in my wrap-up for the month. The first one being A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I did start a reread of this at the end of last month and I got a little over the halfway point and just stopped, but I still kind of have the bug to finish what I started, so I potentially will end up picking this up, finishing it off, and you will see it in the wrap-up. I don't really feel like I have to say much of a summary for A Court of Mist and Fury. I feel like if you've been watching me for a while, you probably know everything there is to know about Sarah J. Maas, and again, I'll leave it linked down below just in case you don't. And the last book that's on my TBR is actually Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This is another one that I've been really meaning to read, and the perfect excuse came along for the month because this is actually Books with Chloe's book pick for the month for her Patreon, so I was really hyped to see that because I was actually supposed to pick this up a couple of months ago with Mika and I never did. I don't know if she did, but I never did. But I still really wanted to, so when I saw that it was going to be the book pick for the month, I figured why not, and to add it into my TBR. Plus, I feel like I haven't read a good sci-fi in a really long time, so here we are. That was it. Those were all the books that I wanted to read for this month. I hope you guys like this more like chit chat, very casual style of talking about books. I know it kind of gets split in half of the people that absolutely love this style of TBR versus the people that really want some in-depth summaries. So this style is a lot easier for me to film and I have a lot more fun doing it. If you guys absolutely despise it, let me know. It's just a lot more work to do very in-depth summaries, but I would do it for you guys because I love you. But please don't do it to me. No, it's fine. But that's kind of it for this video today, guys. Let me know if you guys are participating in the Asian Readathon and if any of the books that are on my TBR are on your TBR as well, or if you have any really good recommendations. I would absolutely love to know. There's 11 books on my TBR this month. That's a lot of books for a girl that barely has been reading. Gotta have high hopes, you know? But that's gonna be it for this video today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're still staying super safe during this self-isolation quarantine period. It seems like it's about to come to a close, but that means to stay even safer. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye! I don't think I like book stack thumbnails anymore. That's just something we're gonna have to deal with, you know? If you're still staying super safe, please don't fall, please don't fall, please don't fall, please don't fall. It has one of those annoying little stickers on it, and the people will suffer. I always get confused when it's two people. So the story is by Tsugumi Oba and the art is by Takeshi Obata. Womp 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 womp. Takeshi Obata. Sugumi. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god.